You take a look at the first choice starting 11 for Spurs this season. It's very similar to last season. In fact, it's exactly the same because, well, Spurs made history today. Since the Premier League window was first confirmed back in 2003, they are the first club ever not to sign a single player during the summer transfer window.
No.
Is this a big deal?
Well, not if Mauricio Pochettino went to Daniel Levy and said, look, let's make history. Let's make history together, Daniel. Let's not sign anybody. This stadium's coming around the corner. We don't want to surprise anybody. Just take the... I mean, look, have they a good squad of players? Yes, they have. Should they have improved it in this transfer window? Absolutely 100% yes, because I'm a great believer in... and you've got to freshen things up, particularly when you're having decent times, and Spurs are having a decent time at the moment with a young manager, with some good players, with a fantastic striker. And you've got to add to that. You've got to keep people on their toes, and you've got to put 2 or 3 positions in the team. You've got to put those under pressure with players coming off the bench. Spurs haven't done that, and we'll have to wait and see whether complacency is going to go in there at White Hart Lane or whatever you call it now.
That interests me, that point, and the fact that if you're a player, there's no one coming in, no one threatening your spot. Is it true? Could you become complacent?
It's very, very unusual. Look, the past master at spicing his squad up was Sir Alex Ferguson. He would, whether he won the league or not, he would sign a top player and he would shake the dressing room up. That was the whole point, to get everybody on their toes, because as we know, it's in history, it's so difficult to win back-to-back premierships. It just is. So this is a very, very brave move from Pochettino. Yes, they've got a relatively deep squad, but the concerns for me is always at the end of the season.
Yeah.
You know, they just seem to take their foot off the gas a little bit, and I don't know why that is, but it's brave of Pochettino.
Well, it's not Pochettino, is it? Come on.
Well,
yeah,
it's got to be Daniel Levy.
I've not met a manager in the planet that said, look, let's just go with what we've got.
Yeah.
Well,
everybody
no, what I'm saying is for him to agree with Levy. If Levy said, look...
Wait, maybe he didn't agree.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Ian, this is remarkable. We've never seen this before.
Well, they were supposed to be signing Jack Grealish, the playmaker from Aston Villa,
what a player.
who everybody says is a superb player. He was in the Championship last year. I think their bid was £25 million. I reckon if they'd offered another 10, 15, which by modern standards is peanuts, they'd have got Grealish to add to the squad. Whether he'd have got in the team is another thing. I think there's one other point to make about Tottenham, though. Yeah, OK, they haven't signed anybody and they should have freshened it up, yes. But they have kept, so far anyway, Harry Kane, Christian Eriksen, Dele Alli, Son, the rest of them, they're all there. They've even kept the unsettled Toby Alderweireld as well. So it is still a strong squad. They've been very consistent in recent years. But whether Spurs fans like it or not, I'm afraid to say it, at the moment, you'd have to say they're nearly men. Astonished
at a club of their ilk, a club who, with their clout, a club who were so far off the pace last year in terms of the points gap. We know they finished second, but the points gap was huge. That they have done little or nothing. I mean, it beggars belief that there can only be a couple of things here. Either Ed Woodward is so inept in this part of the job where David Gill, the former chief executive, was pretty good and had a good relationship with Ferguson, or Ed Woodward and the United board are absolutely trying to make Mourinho's life as miserable as possible in the hope that they can work out some sort of deal where he goes sooner rather than later. Because you're not telling me Man United couldn't go out there and spend money on players.
It's incredible, Ian, and when you take a look at it, is it just the case that Mourinho, big picture, has lost a big game of chicken with Ed Woodward?
Well, you do wonder what's going on behind the scenes, because this is mysterious and curious that Manchester United have been so quiet. Jose Mourinho turned up at the press conference this morning and said there will be no signings today. They were linked with Harry Maguire, they were linked with Alderweireld, the Tottenham Hotspur defender, and that looked the easiest deal to do, you would have thought, but apparently there was not even a bid for him. So what went on there, I really don't know. But you look at Manchester United last season, it wasn't really the defence that was the problem, was it? They had the second best defence in the Premier League. It was scoring, lack of flair at the other end. So you wondered about the targets in the first place. So it's a doom-laden scenario, but I still think that is quite a strong squad, and I still think they'll make the top 4.
Meanwhile, I just wanted to bring Paolo into the conversation because, Paolo, were they close at all today? Jose Mourinho early on, as Ian mentioned, at that press conference said, look, I don't think anything's going to get done.
No, it doesn't sound like they were. It doesn't sound like there was really much expectation anywhere of something happening. And if there's no expectation from the club of something happening, then how's it going to materialise unless someone comes to you with a deal that's too good to turn down? I think it's interesting when you look at the sort of amount this has been talked about, how vocal Mourinho has been in discussing the fact that his CEO knows what he wants. That this Godin angle, which was fruitless but didn't even get explored until the last minute, when you're talking about someone who actually did have a release clause in their contract, someone who you could put a number on and say, well, actually, that's someone we can at least talk to. Whereas a lot of these other players, it was hard to even get to that point because, this is the issue with buying anyone from another Premier League club these days. Everyone's got such deep pockets because of the TV deals that it's hard to buy.
Chelsea confirmed today that Kovacic has signed from Real Madrid on loan. Jorginho, of course, joined earlier on in the summer. Kepa just yesterday. Thibaut Courtois going the other way. A new coach as well. Sarri coming in. Paolo, you, of course, followed Sarri closely at Napoli. You know Jorginho and Kovacic. Well, how do you expect things to be set up for Chelsea this season?
Formation-wise, I think it's exactly what you're seeing. It's a 4-3-3, and I expect the system to work in much the same way as it did in Naples. The question is just which pegs we're fitting into which holes. I think the midfield is certainly the most fascinating. Without question, you expect Jorginho to sit in that middle spot, slightly deeper than the other two, and dictate the play. We've already seen in the Community Shield that he touched the ball more than anyone else in a Chelsea shirt in that game, and I think that'll be the model. But what he had at Naples was he had two midfielders alongside him who notionally both have the same job of getting up and down the pitch, but in practice you have Alan, who was much more combative, much more there to offer the shield to the defence when Jorginho did advance, much more there to look after him in a physical side of the game. And you had Marek Hamsik to the left of him, who was more interested in getting up the pitch, breaking the lines and providing that support to the attack. And I think Kovacic, at least in theory and in terms of what we've seen of him as a player through his career so far, fits that mould much better, I would say, than any of the other options Sarri currently has, like a Ross Barkley or a Cesc Fabregas. So that's what I think we'll see. But of course, there's still opportunities for both of those players to crack into this lineup as well.
It's interesting, a deep squad when you take a look at it. You look at the top four odds. Chelsea 6-4 on to make it into the top four. Is that team good enough to make a Champions League place, do you think, Craig?
Yeah, I think it is. What would worry me would be Kante in that situation, because he's usually playing more central, and we see for France and for Chelsea how he broke up the play.
Yep.
It does get forward a little bit, but it breaks the play up and covers the centre halves, covers the full-backs. The Jorginho situation would sort of shunt him a little bit. Of course, that's another big worry. Transfer window's finished for selling players, but the likes of Kante's been linked with PSG. Obviously, other players have been linked, Hazard with Real Madrid and one or two others. But the Kante situation is going to be interesting, because I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think it's dead in the water yet. And also the fact if he's slightly out of position, the player might become unhappy. The one reason that I struggle to see him having a great season at Chelsea is, one, the late management call, and two, the striking problem.
Right.
And Alvaro Morata, I don't see any signs in it as early, but I didn't see anything from the Community Shield to suggest he won't be falling over every time the ball came to him again.
Chelsea good enough? Oh, sorry, Chelsea good enough to finish top four?
No, there's too much work to do with that squad. We saw
it's a good team, though, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah,
isn't that personnel there?
It is, but
good bench.
But look, Kante's going to be it's going to be different pitches for him. Kovacic and Kante are going to play higher up the field. They're going to press higher with the five. Morata is going to be a problem. I love Morata, but he's not showing any signs, as Craig says. I think there's too much work to do. The whole squad is not on the same page.
At the end of the day, I think it's a relationship that's going to come to an end sooner rather than later, Mourinho and Manchester United. But whilst it lasts, damn well coach this side. Right. Right. This is what you got. It isn't the worst in the Premier League by a million miles. It's maybe not the best, but it is in the top 3 or 4, top 2 or 3 of squads, right? So go coach them. Go get your team right. Go get your tactics right. Go get your team personnel right. Oh, and by the way, manage and encourage and get your players playing for you. Then he might have half a chance. If he goes the opposite way and things don't go well and he starts to moaning and groaning, or keeps them moaning and groaning up, I would be disappointed in Man United if they didn't just pull the rug from under his feet and say, I tell you what, this isn't looking good. We've had enough of you. Get out of here. I mean, it's early for that, but I'm painting a picture. He likes to paint pictures. I'm painting the picture as, you need to work with what you have now. If it's not going well, though, I don't want to keep hearing the moaning and groaning. I'm sure the United fans don't want to hear it as well. And I think United should be big enough, 3 or 4 months into the season, if we're seeing the same things as last year, just get rid of him.
Ian, what do you think? Could he be gone by Christmas?
I don't think he will be gone by Christmas. Now, I think something else might be at play here as well. I think there might be a bit of a siege mentality built up here with Manchester United. They've been carpeted, they've been criticised by all of us in the media, with some justification, because it has been a chaotic summer. But there's a few players there now, Chris Smalling would be one of them, who are going to say, come on then, I'll show you. I'll show you what my form's about, and maybe they will play with a little bit more freedom and get the right kind of results, because they've got Fred in. Let's not forget Fred. I think he's a good player. He'll be there with Matic. Pogba will have more freedom, I think, to get forward this time, and that's what I think he was craving for. And then you've got Sanchez, who's had a summer off. You might see more from him. If Lukaku delivers goals again, well, Manchester United might surprise a few people.
Hello and welcome to Extra Time. The Premier League kicks off tomorrow, and that is the subject of our first question. As pundits, Craig, do you feel the difference between the off-season and a season? Are you going to sleep all right tonight?
Pardon?
It's like different regime tomorrow morning.
Boy, what's happening tomorrow?
It all starts. Season's back.
Same old for me.
Yeah, but same old regime tonight.
There's no regime change, let me tell you.
No.
Paul?
No
No
reason.
butterflies in your stomach?
No, none whatsoever.
But it's good for us because you have something to talk about.
Fantastic.
You know,
Absolutely.
you obviously
Yeah,
wear
no,
to
you're
talk
right.
about football. And that's
You're
what we
right
want.
again, Dan. You're right again.
There we go. Good.
No, but it's not as if we don't know there's like a 2.5 month break,
Yeah.
and at the end of the season, and we go, what are we going to talk about now?
There's no World Cup we do, don't we?
Because we just carry on.
Just carry on.
And we had a World Cup, an ICC.
And we carried on.
Yes, and you had time off.
Well, as did you.
Not as much as you. I'm just behind Shaka.
Let's go to Ian Dark, who is with us, and ask Ian. Oh no, sorry, this is for Paul. Apologies, Ian. We will go to Ian in a moment. This is for you in particular, Paul. Your Arsenal ways. How many goals can Aubameyang score this year? Can it be enough to compete for the Golden Boot? He should get a lot of goals, shouldn't he?
Yeah,
No World Cup.
he's a proven goal scorer. I don't know
How
how.
many he's going to get?
I'm going to say 20.
20?
Yeah.
Paolo, you're an Arsenal fan. What do you think? Over and under 20?
I'm going to go over 20. Yeah, I'm
Wow.
optimistic for Aubameyang this season. I think, look, he's done it plenty of times in his career. It's not like it would be a shock for him to be over 20. Yeah, I think he can do that.
You ask Ian? You might as well ask Ian.
Of course, ask you.
Ian?
I think he's going to do very, very well indeed. I'm going to say he'll get 26 Premier League goals.
Whoa! Wow!
Very exact. I like it.
Exactly 26.
Okay, next question. Can anyone on the show correctly pronounce Arthabalaga? Only Steve Nicol can, but sadly he's off today.
Only Steve Nicol.
Yeah, how are you?
Are
gonna-
you serious?
I think there's tongue in cheek. Ian, how are you going to go for Kepa during your commentary?
I think he's going to become Kepa in the same way that it's going to be just Socrates and not Papastathopoulos.
Craig, you
there
love
you
a
go.
Can't fit it on the shirt anyway, can you?
What a professional.
Papastathopoulos.
There you go.
Yeah, but you've had practice about that.
When you do
Tell the tale.
Yeah.
when I did the Greek team at the World Cup, it was Papadopoulos and Papastatopoulos were the two centre halves.
Yeah.
But we can always call on our colleague, our former colleague, or sometimes colleague, will get this right, Derek Ray.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Derek loves the
Because Derek
pronunciation.
will scroll through YouTube,
Yes.
and then he will go to the embassy, where he will camp outside the embassy for hours, sometimes days, without food and water, just to get a pronunciation. And then he'll tell everybody on Twitter,
Oh,
and he'll correct you. Am I right there?
Hey, and he'll tell you if you're
You're spot
commentating
on.
with him.
You're
he'll tell
spot
you.
on. Yeah.
I know, he will. I know I am. He does it.
Paolo, how would you pronounce Kepa?
Kepa the keeper. It makes it writes itself. It's easy.
There you go. Is any of you guys going to walk Steve Nicol through the process of being verified? And that's, of course, the blue tick, which accompanies, I think, everyone's name. Have you got a blue tick, Paul?
What for? Twitter?
Yes.
Aye.
There you go.
Of course, you told me to get it, and I got it.
There you are. Perfect. Steve will never get it, will he?
No,
He doesn't know what it's on. Don't know what it is. He really doesn't.
I think it's actually Twitter that don't want to verify
That's fair enough.
for his Adele tweets.
Right then, Ian, let's go down the archive, shall we? What is your
Nonsense.
favourite commentating moment? And how do you prepare before a match? Oh.
Oh, favourite commentating moment's easy. I'm from England, and it has to be Kenneth Wolstenholme's line at the end of the World Cup final.
Not him.
It does.
No, you.
It's got to be Landon, isn't it?
Go USA!
Go USA!
I actually said at the World Cup in 1998, you remember that was when Romania, to the curse of every commentator, all the players dyed their hair blonde.
Yeah.
They were about to get knocked out by Croatia, and I said, I think there's proof here that blondes don't always have more fun.
Oh,
Hey.
nice line, Ian. Very good.
What a hero.
I don't have many, but that was one.
And how many hours would you say you put in before each match?
Preparing a commentary, how many hours have you got? It's one of them. You've never done enough research for a game. Hopefully, you have to use very little because the game's so great.
Oh, what an answer.
Well, it's funny you should say that, but when I saw you in Paris for the Euros, most of your prep seemed to be on the bars in the and just in the lovely area of Paris. I mean,
What on earth are you trying to say?
Pot calling kettle, anyone?
Yeah.
Well, I
I've
was
done
on
the
the
odd prep on the golf course, I'll give you that.
I was just keeping an eye on Ian.
Who is your current pick, Paul, to win MLS Cup? Atlanta?
Yeah, it's got to be Atlanta. They've got too much going forward. A lot of the teams are front-ended. LAFC are front-ended. But I think that Atlanta have got a nice balance defensively with Parkhurst and Laurentowicz there.
Joseph Martinez? Where would he go? Where do you think he could
Stay where he is.
stand?
There
Yeah,
he is. This is a league where he thrives. Just stay where you are.
really?
Yeah. I mean, look, if you look at his record when he was over in Italy before, he wasn't a prolific goal scorer. So he's found his niche.
There's a reason for that. They don't buy defenders.
Well,
I'm not saying he's not a good player.
does help.
What
It
I'm
does
saying
help.
is,
It does
it helps if you're a good player and you don't have particularly good defenders. Now, it's factually correct that MLS like to bring people in that are of the attacking variety because that's the spice of life for the fans, or that's the way they see it. But if you put the two of them together, that's why you're going to get more goals from some of these players coming in. Not that they're not good players, but it is a little bit easier for them when the calibre of defender is.
I think they're most people's picks, aren't they? When all said and done.
Atlanta?
Yeah.
Right. Shouldn't you pick the Revs? Aren't you contractually obliged to
Not
pick the
yet.
Revs?
Not yet. No. We're just finding our feet at the moment.
The final question, and this is a very important question, and a lot of people will be losing some sleep tonight. Are your fantasy Premier League teams ready? Are you doing it this season?
Yeah.
Are you going to do Tony's league? So a guy at work, Tony
Tony, who's
organised
not
it all
here
for us.
anymore.
No, he's left, doesn't he?
Well,
But
he's still working for ESPN, but he's working from home. God
working
bless him,
remotely, yeah.
just to get away
He's
from
moved
us.
to Tennessee, isn't he?
Back home, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So anyway, he does this league and he sets it up, and you're very interested in it because I'm not going to say any more. There's a little.
You've got to say something now.
There's a little.
Come on.
There's a little pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Was there about 60 of us? I won it a couple of years ago, by the way.
How much do
Anyway,
you
I
win?
have done it,
How much do you win?
A nice amount.
and he
nice
didn't.
amount.
Very.
And he didn't split it at the bar.
Of course he wouldn't do.
I did that though when I won March Madness. I took everyone out.
Oh, look at you. Hey,
I'm just saying.
Hey.
I don't remember that.
Giving it the big one.
I don't remember that night. When was it? Is that another one I wasn't invited to?
Ian, Ian, I'm guessing no. Do you do fantasy Premier League?
I have enough trouble with the real ones, but you can give me a few tips on March Madness.
Ah, there you go, Villanova. That's all you need to know. Paolo, I
Okay,
imagine you
noted.
do it. Is that right?
No, it became too much of a time sink for me. Fancy Premier League, Magic Cup that they have in Italy as well. I've given them up. The only fancy sports I still do is the fancy NFL, weirdly. But yeah, too much time I could lose obsessing over lineups and not doing my work. So I ended up jacking it in.
When is your NFL draft this year then, Paolo?
I've got a couple of leagues. One of them is the 31st of August, and one of them is, I think, the week building up to that.
Oh, there you go. I think mine's the 31st of August as well.
Have you done it this year, Tony's?
I will do it, yes.
You've done your team?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yes.
I did mine this morning.
Have you got Salah? 13 million, it's a lot.
No, I left him out.
Did you?
Yeah. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Got Mane
Right.
and De Bruyne.
Right.
And then I went with some cheaper midfielders because I had to balance it out.
Who?
And I got Kane and Aguero.
Really?
You spent
Who
some
were the
dough.
cheaper midfielders?
Burley.
Don't tell him.
Who are they? Can't remember.
He's going shy.
Ross Barkley.
And I went a little bit cheaper at the back.
Yeah, my back four's I've got Aubameyang and Aguero.
Oh, I went Kane. Wow. I went for Leno and Pickford as my goalkeepers.
Yeah.
To juggle, yeah.
I've got Bernardo Silva as well.
I was very exciting.
Look at this.
How many people going for this thing?
It is massive, Paul.
Seriously?
Millions of people playing.
Honestly?
It's huge.
Wow.
No, but we're only playing amongst ourselves.
Yes.
About 60 of us.
Oh, all right. Oh, I didn't know it was that popular. I really didn't.
It's big.
Is it the same thing that Donaldson does?
Yes.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right.
but he does it. That's his job.
Oh, we're still on air. All right, that's it. ESPN FC back tomorrow to talk about
fact, he
Manchester
puts that in
United.
as a day.
Now, who's your captain?
Aguero. Now, don't be stealing me for tomorrow.
Aguero is your captain.
Why?
Just saying.
Get double points.
Just saying. God, he's jumped down my throat.
Stevie Nicol joining me for this one as it's a deadline day, and Stevie, we have to talk about it. Forget about Tottenham's lack of signings. It's Manchester United's lack of major signings that really has a lot of people talking, Stevie. And there's sort of this desperation around the club that is not very characteristic of Manchester United or a manager like Jose Mourinho. So what do you make of this?
It's very surprising. As you said, it's not something you associate with Manchester United, where they kind of look desperate.
Or have players calling them reportedly and turning them down?
Well, that's another story. But the fact that in the last day they are being linked with 3 other centre-backs in particular, I mean, for me, it just creates a whole drama that it's not positive at all. It's completely negative. If I'm a centre-back right now at Manchester United, if I'm a Smalling or a Jones or a Bailly, I'm thinking, what's going on here? Every person with 2 legs that plays centre-back is getting associated with Manchester United. And the fact that now we're hearing that supposedly they made an attempt at Godin, I mean, you can't go around the likes of Kurt Zuma's and then all of a sudden it's now you're going for Godin. That smacks of no real plan and just desperation.
And speaking of desperation, why is it that we do see a lot of clubs, not just Manchester United, leaving things to the last minute? Because Jose Mourinho has been pretty vocal, especially in this preseason, about wanting at least 5 players. Said he could settle for 2. He thinks he's probably only going to get 1. But if he knew that plan from before, what could he have done differently so that it's not left at this last minute?
Well, number one, I don't think there is a plan. It doesn't seem to be that there is a plan. And if there was, you have to look at the other side of the coin. You know, the clubs who are wanting to get as much money for their player that Man United are after, they can hold off as long as they can and try and just push the money higher and higher and higher. So it's not quite as simple as you just go with plenty of time, make an offer and it all happens. It doesn't work that way. It's always complicated.
We also have the World Cup too.
Yeah, that doesn't help anybody either. But again, at the end of the day, it just looks like a bit of a shambles for Manchester United.
Ooh, interesting indeed. Strong words there from Stevie Nicol for his rival team, but it definitely does not bode well for Manchester United as we gear up for the next Premier League season. So, the transfer window is officially shut for the Premier League. So now brings a time of reflection with Craig Burley. And Craig loves to reflect. We're reflecting on the entire transfer window for Premier League clubs. Biggest winners and biggest losers for you.
Well,
let's start off with the winners.
Well, we shouldn't jump in just too quickly because this could change, and I'm not trying to sit on the fence here, because the biggest winners could potentially be, well, what I'm saying is they could still be losers because they could lose players before the end of the month, because obviously it's closed for buying players in England, but it's not closed for selling players. So there could be some movement. I would very much doubt there's going to be any big names, but they might be. But in terms of the winners, I think Liverpool. Everybody's talking about Liverpool. Not that they've done enough to catch and overhaul Man City, but they've done pretty much enough to maybe give it a good shot. They haven't lost any key players either after the Coutinho sale, which they seem to have spent well. And Klopp's been backed. I mean, some of the players that they brought in, you know, off the top of my head, I can't remember them all, but Fabinho, do you remember? Who else has come in?
Yeah, we've got Fabinho, you've got Naby Keita that's coming in.
Naby
Alisson,
Keita.
which was the goalkeeper.
Alisson. There's just been so much. Shaqiri came in, I think he'll be a squad player, but he has got a little bit of something about him. All these guys are coming in, fabulous players. So I think they've got the business done early. You know, all these, you know, the Keita thing was in the bank from
Yeah.
last year. We knew it was happening. Fabinho was done early. Alisson was done relatively early. They lost Emre Can to Juventus, but they've certainly filled that void for sure.
Well, on the other side of Merseyside, on deadline day, Everton made around 4 signings in the last 10 minutes. And they also picked up Yeremina from Barcelona for 27 million, about that, just a little over, when he was linked with a move to Manchester United. Is this big for Everton, do you think?
I think pretty big for them. They've had a bit of a scattergun policy in the last few years. They brought in a director of football. I don't think he's there anymore. Now that Marco Silva's in, they've kind of gone back to restructuring a little bit. He's kind of been up and down. I really liked him at Hull. Started really well at Watford, then it kind of fell apart. So it's a big job for him. Nobody really, you know, a lot of people didn't want Allardyce there. They've backed him with the Richarlison signing. I think that's a lot of money for that player. We'll see. Yeremina was talked about as somebody United were after if they didn't get their #1 targets, i.e. Alderweireld, Jerome Boateng, his name was mentioned. But I think Yeremina was always somebody that Mourinho was never really too keen on. But it was kind of a desperation for them. But in terms of Everton, it's a pretty good signing for them.
All right, well, now let's talk about
Lots of money on Merseyside, it seems.
This is, apparently there is, but let's talk about now the biggest losers, because we have 2 contenders, many would probably say, even though it could change, as you said, depending on if they lose any big players or not. Spurs, again, absolutely inactive. That's the first time since the summer transfer window was introduced in 2003 that a club has not made any signings, but some almost applaud their consistency and continuity in the team. And then, of course, there's Manchester United. Who gets the biggest loser nod there for you?
I think United, because their need is more. I mean, listen, if Spurs finish in the top 4 next year and have a good run, nobody will bat an eyelid, because that's what Tottenham have been doing.
It's time for silverware for them, don't you
It's
think?
time for silverware for Tottenham for a long time, right? But that's what they do, right? And they seem quite happy with that. You know, maybe all the supporters are not, but they seem quite happy. I never like when you've got a good squad just leaving it alone. I think you've always got to freshen it up and make people think they're not in the team. You know, make your centre half or your goalkeeper, make your wide players, put your squad, put your guys under pressure. And by not bringing anybody in, they haven't done that. They haven't lost anybody yet. I don't think they will. They're going to be moving to the new stadium, so it's not a disaster for them, because their limitations are and expectations are probably there. Man United's expectations, on the other hand, should be to be the top dog in England and challenging in Europe. And there is clearly nowhere near enough been done to bridge that points gap from Man City last year. So this is all going to come down to Mourinho. You know, if he's not, if this is the squad he goes into with the start of the season, it's purely a coaching issue. He's going to have to coach these players to be better, and that's down to him. Has he got a good enough squad to get more out of them than last year? Yeah, I think he has. Has he got a good enough squad to overhaul City if they continue in the same manner? No, not anywhere close. So I'm surprised. I mean, I don't know what Ed Woodward and Mourinho have been doing or whatever, but I don't know, but I'm sorry. This is not the Man United I know of recent years. Sitting in their hands, watching other players and other clubs spend money, watching other clubs run away, and they're just sitting there saying, oh, there's no business from us today. That's not the United I know.
All right, so we continue to be baffled by Manchester United after the Premier League transfer window has been shut. We will be all eyes on them as the Premier League starts tomorrow.